Haribol. Wow, so there are a lot of new faces that I see now. So we welcome you all once again for this Chetana festival. I'm sure you all like the drama. What a wonderful transformation that happened from a stingy person who renounced himself for God. We now begin the class. We have a very, very energetic and powerful orator amongst us. Her name is Her Grace Ananda Gopi Mataji. I'll just give you a very brief introduction about her before we begin. Ananda Gopi Mataji has done her graduation in biotechnology and microbiology, as well as her postgraduate diploma in bioinformatics. She has been practicing Krishna Consciousness since the year 1997, while she was studying in her 9th standard. Presently, she is serving as a counselor and the member of the marriage board in the temple. And I'm sure she's going to keep us spellbound with this class. So without taking much time, let us please invite her to the Vyasasana and request her to start the class. Can we all have a loud Hari Bol for her, please? Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Please come closer, everyone. Who's doing? Thank you all for coming today for this Chetana program. We will begin with invocation prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जिनको भी हिंदी अनुवाद सुनना चाहते हैं वो पीछे मीनल के पास जा सकते हैं. So friends, today's topic is what's in my heart. I would like to begin with a small story, a pedagogical story, so please hear attentively. Once upon a time, there was a simple yet beautiful house. And in that house came to live a wonderful family. They came there for a temporary period of time. This family was very big. It comprised of elderly family members, grandparents. They had their own sons and daughters-in-law, their children, and in this way it was a big family. This family lived by following religious principles. Every day morning, all the family members would get up early, take their bath, worship the sun god, offer prayers, study the scriptures. Each family member respected and loved every other family member. All of them knew how unique each other family member has towards contributing to the family. The children were very respectful to their elders. They would touch the feet of their parents and grandparents, seeking blessings to have a nice day ahead. The men would go out to earn their livelihood and sustain their family. The women, they played their part in taking care of everyone at home, doing the domestic duties, taking care of cleaning, taking care of the children, taking care of the health of the family. And in this way, this whole family lived a very contented, satisfied lives for many, many years. Until one day, they had neighbors. These neighbors came from a very distant and foreign land. These people who came to live next to their house had a very different lifestyle. They didn't believe in the concept of future life. They only lived for the present. And thus, their only focus in life was to, by hook or crook, make money, spend it to buy lavish furniture, automobiles, lavish clothes. And in this way, they wailed away their time. Not just that, they also ridiculed and made fun of this simple and noble family. What happened gradually was the innocent children of this family were negatively influenced to such an extent that they forgot their own cultural upbringing and started to feel a deep sense of inferiority complex. They started believing that the lifestyle that the neighbors are leading is the best, is far superior than their own lifestyle. And therefore, they disregarded the advice of their parents and elders. They started to live a life very independent of their cultural heritage, forgetting their own real wealth. My dear friends, this story is about you and me, the residents of this country of India. Today, the youth of this country is blindly trying to imitate the West. After thousands of years of subjugation by the foreigners like the Mughals and the Britishers, today we are faced with harsh realities wherein the youth of today are really forgetting what really their country stands for. Last few months, I have been interacting with youngsters, children aged 10 or 12, and young teenagers. And I was quite shocked at the kind of comments that these young people are making. One 8-year-old girl was telling, she was asked, do you like to eat roti sabji? She said, "Chhi, I don't like, I only like pizza." अच्छा, बड़ी होकर मम्मी के जैसे बनोगी? Chhi, my mother is very old-fashioned. I want to be like, my friends who are just go to America and settle down. Do you like to take blessings from your elders, grandparents? Chhi, unka kya? Abhi now I am free. I can do whatever I want. I don't believe in these things. These are the comments from a 8-year-old girl. Another 10-year-old girl once spoke to me, and she was saying, India to ek kachre ka dabba hai. I'll never be in this country when I grow up. I was shocked to hear this. And similarly, there was another teenager whom I met just recently, and she was saying, what is so great about being an Indian? I feel ashamed to be a part of a country which is the #1 in corruption. Today's youth is the future of our country. And if these are the kind of thoughts that they are harboring, it's a very scary situation. Do you all agree? I was just contemplating when I was asked to give this month's Chetana. Based on my past few months of interaction, I thought I would like to share what is our country's strengths. Why are people, today's generation, so Why do they harbor such negativities? And what is our country's real strength that we can feel proud about? You all agree with me? So, any human being, in order to live a pious material life in this world, follows a fourfold path, which is of dharma or religious principles, artha, having some economic stability, kama, or being able to meet desires of the senses, and then moksha, finally getting out of this material world. And this fourfold path, each of them are very interconnected. One affects the other. And it is the whole culture is of a cyclic pattern. Now, you cannot isolate one from the others. Just like religious, if you are, life is, can you please switch off your cell phones or put it on silent mode? It's very disturbing. Just like if you lead a life having in mind that this world is temporary and finally I have to get rid of these material entanglements, then you'll naturally want to lead a life based on religious principles. And if you do that, then you meet your economic needs also in just means, which would mean that you also meet your senses desires in a very ethical manner. So I would like to just discuss a few examples of what really are these religious principles that we in our country have been traditionally following, and what are its strengths, and how does it affect our daily lives. Just a few examples I'll be taking. For instance, we've always been taught and we have seen how important it is to respect one's family members, especially one's parents. We see in the Mahabharata, the Pandavas, all of the 5 brothers loved each other so much. And Bhima, Arjuna, Nakul and Sahadev, their only goal in life was to please Yudhishthira Maharaj. Each of these brothers had a unique relationship with Yudhishthira Maharaj and a unique sense of commitment, right? And then we have Lord Krishna, who happens to be the Supreme Lord, at the same time was their cousin also. But we never see that Krishna ever replaced any one of these brothers and took their position in connection with Yudhishthira Maharaj. On the contrary, we always see how the Lord encouraged each of these brothers to continue their service to Yudhishthira Maharaj and thus dedicate their life to the whole cause. Similarly, we have Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, when he was just 5 years old, he was insulted by his stepmother. I will not go into the details, many of you know this story. And then he was advised by his mother to go out and meditate upon the Supreme Lord, and then seek blessings from him. And as we all know, he did that. The Lord blessed him. And he was told by the Lord to be a very exemplary king. And at the fag end of his life, after fully dedicating his life to the service of his citizens, to the service of the Lord and the devotees, the Vishnu Dutas from Vaikuntha came to take him back to Godhead. Even at this end of life, he remembered his mother and felt grateful that it is by her mercy that I am what I am today. We see in the life of Prahlad Maharaj how he went through so much crisis in life at the hands of his own father, and yet when Narsimhadev asked him for benediction, he only asked for his father's welfare. Why I am saying these things is sometimes when we come to spiritual lives, we tend to argue with parents at home and say that now I have Krishna and the devotees, now I don't need you. Which, as per my experience, can be quite disastrous. As we see, Krishna never replaced the Pandavas for each other. Similarly, when we add Krishna in our lives, we should lead our spiritual life in such a way that we add value to our family and not become estranged with family members. I'm speaking with experience because even I have done this. When I joined, even I have argued. But now I realize that none of our parents are as bad as Hiranyakashipu. And we can never be as good as Prahlad Maharaj. So we have no right to argue with our parents in that sense. We have another wonderful example of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even after taking sannyas, we have this chapter in Madhya-lila where he is expressing gratitude to his mother. He says, I have given up the service of my mother and have accepted sannyas order. Actually, I should not have done this, for by doing so, I have destroyed my religious principles. I am subordinate to the love of my mother, and it is my duty to serve her in return. Instead of doing so, I have accepted the sannyas order, and certainly I have acted like a madman. Of course, Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Lord, but he's teaching us that no matter how advanced we may be, we still owe our human birth to our parents. It is by their grace that we have this human form of life. To receive blessings from the elderly people is another religious principle which our Indian tradition is known for. I still remember when we were small children, on our birthdays we would be told to pay Shashtang Dandavat to our grandparents and parents and seek their blessings. Many families even do so today. But at least in the cities I am seeing, today's young children, on their birthdays, what are they craving for? Having a lavish birthday party and getting lots of gifts. Do we ever hear of Krishna and Balram having their birthday parties? Have you heard of Krishna and Balram having fun with their friends at home, just throwing a party? Instead, on the contrary, Mother Yashoda would keep them home and ask them to give in charity and seek blessings of the elders and the brahmanas. That was the strength of such tradition. We see in the recent past, the Queen of Jhansi, well known as Jhansi Ki Rani Lakshmi Bai, at the very tender age of 14, she had such fire in her heart to safeguard the interest of her countrymen from the hands of the Britishers. The Britishers were so, they would torture the Indians so much. Once what happened was, the people of a village organized a mela, and the Britishers just came and for no reason were troubling an old man and removing his pagdi from his head. In those days, wearing a pagdi on the head is a mark of respect, and if anybody would remove it and put it on the ground, it's like dishonoring that person. So these Britishers, for no reason, because they considered Indians so inferior, they were troubling this old man. And when Lakshmi Bai, Jhansi Ki Rani, she saw that, she couldn't take it. And so she challenged, how dare you insult my fellow countrymen? And these Britishers were so annoyed that such a small girl is, trying to argue. So they challenged, let us play a game. If we win, you will lick my boot. And this girl said, and if I win, you will touch the feet of this old man and seek his blessings. Such is the culture of our country, that even in losing something, you only gain. By touching a feet of an elderly man, you're seeking blessings. What have you really lost? As against these Britishers, such incredibly low kind of thought, licking my boot. But unfortunately, in today, I'm seeing, and many of you would agree, that we are blindly trying to imitate the West, forgetting our own cultural heritage. Now, another religious principle that we've been following, or we've been taught, is to regard one's money and assets as Lakshmi Devi. It is such an amazing principle. When you see money and your assets as an expansion of Lakshmi, naturally you will not do any wasteful expenditure, right? You'll be careful, and in this way you will not you will not waste anything. I still remember my grandmother. She just passed away 2 years back. She was such an amazing cook. She would not waste even a bit of food. Now there is this vegetable, I don't know what you call in English, we call it turai. You all know what is turai? Now, naturally we remove the peel before cooking it, right? And my grandmother would cook the vegetable after removing the peel and also make a wonderful chutney out of that peel. Not just that, so similarly she had many such recipes. So culturally, food is so sacred that wasting it was considered very sinful. But today we see, what to speak of just normal food, even prasad is wasted so much. We have no regard for, we have no thinking of what all it has taken to get this food on our plate, and we just discard it. This is just one example. Similarly, showing mercy to lower living beings like animals, especially cows, was a very sacred principle. We see in the life of Parikshit Maharaj, when he saw Kali personified affecting or trying to kill the cow and the bull, what did he do? He was immediately ready to punish him. Such should be the leaders of a nation. Unfortunately, today's leaders are opening automated slaughterhouses to kill hundreds of animals in 1 second. Are we doing anything about it? We've been receiving emails and messages, give a missed call to this number. Fine, maybe it helps, but think deeper. Do you really think giving a missed call and getting 1 crore missed calls will solve the problem? Fine, cows may be saved from going to the slaughterhouse, but what next? This brings us to the next principle. Seeing one's land, motherland, as mother. Today, it is such a sad state in the villages. Last 1 year, my husband and I have been extensively traveling. Villages are in abject poverty. And villagers, especially farmers, you know what's the suicide rate in our country? Average across all states put together, a farmer is committing suicide every 30 minutes. Can you believe that? Why is this happening? Because we have been imposed upon by our rulers of a very artificial kind of life. Our real wealth is in the land, but now villagers are forced to sell their land for money. If you consider land as one's mother, then selling is like selling one's mother. It's considered a sinful activity. But that apart, it's such a sorry state for the villagers. The big companies, they come, they want to take away their land to build their companies. Villagers are such abject poverty, they need money for their basic sustenance like water and food. So they sell their land, and then what happens? They come as a watchman in the same company which is built on their land. And they lead a life of self-indignation. Their hearts are filled with hatred towards the city dwellers. Unfortunately, villagers don't feel pride in keeping cows. How can they keep cows? You're talking about saving the cows from going to slaughterhouse, but you and I living in city cannot take care of cows. Even if you want to, there are government laws that you cannot keep cows in a building, in a society. You'll be fined. And then we tell the villagers, you keep cows. But how can they don't have water for themselves. How will they take care of cow? There are no grasslands for growing fodder. So one problem is leading to the other. And on a superficial level, it cannot be solved. It can be solved only if we realize the true wealth of this traditional of our country. That's just one example. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada used to say that real prosperity comes when a man has just a small piece of land and 1 cow. But unfortunately, villagers are looking towards cities, and city people are looking towards the west. There is no self-esteem, there is no they say, you know, the Hindi mein there is a very nice word, Swabhiman. It is lacking in today's youth. How will a country progress if the youth of today are not aware of the strength of their own country? The role of women and men were always respected as unique. Unfortunately, because of thousands of years of subjugation and wrongly quoting scriptures, our country is being seen as a nation where women are abused, women are very inferior, and therefore many laws are being made which are only dealing with superficial problems. What really does it mean when we say women should be protected? Men must realize that to protect does not mean to subjugate or dominate or even humiliate. To protect means to protect. And Shastras give a lot of examples wherein we see husbands have taken the opinion of their wives and accepted that the wife's opinion is right in many cases. For example, in Krishna Lila we see how the Brahmana's wives served the Lord and his friends various kinds of foodstuffs when the Brahmanas, the husbands themselves, were only superficially engaged in sacrifices. You all know that story. We also see Kaliya, the serpent, who just created havoc for the Rajvasis. And when Krishna came to chastise, he was saved only by the grace of his wives, who begged for the life of their husband. Women have such a big role in the economy of the country. Especially countries like India, China, their economy is very feministic. Do you know why? Because we believe in the concept of saving for the future. Saving money for the future is a very noble concept. What is saving money is equivalent to the future and we. But squandering money is equal to present and me. Right? Saving money is, I still remember my father and grandparents, they would go very far away to buy vegetables, one full week, and they would carry such heavy loads of vegetables. But they would never take a public transport or come by rickshaw. They would always come walking. And we children would ask, why do you have to do so much austerity? But they knew that because life in those days was not easy. Money wasn't so easily available. They had to struggle. And they knew that if we don't save for, we children, then life will be difficult. It's such a nice concept of saving for the future. And when women understood their role in assisting the family's economic needs, then gradually and naturally, they would take care of the husband's, problems like alcoholism and, addictions to certain things. Recently, we visited a college called Barefoot College. You know what this Barefoot College is about? It's a college. It's a place in a remote village in Rajasthan called Tilonia. And it's a college for the villagers and run by the villagers. No educated city wala is allowed there. And these villagers, they teach each other and they educate themselves in things like solar energy, and various ways of how they can be sustainable in their own ways without depending on outside sources. It's a very inspiring place. If you can visit sometime, these people believe that we have everything we need in our small village. We just have to tap the talents in the villagers so that they can actually take out those riches and make a wonderful life living in that village. So what the women in this village initially, this was 30 years back when they started, the whole village, all the men were serious alcohol addicts. And gradually the women trained themselves in how to tap solar energy. They made solar cells, they made on their own solar cookers. And in this way, they saved energy and somehow they contributed to save money and improve their lifestyle. And when the husband saw that they are genuinely trying to contribute, then gradually they gave up their addiction to alcohol. So women have a very big role to play when it comes to safeguarding the traditions of the family. The role of a wife is also explained. Very nice conversation takes place in the Ramayana between Kaushalya and Dasharath Maharaj. When Lord Ram was banished, Kaushalya was in tears and she spoke to Dasharath Maharaj and she told him, I got married to you and I lost my family. And then even as a wife, I didn't get much from you because you were attached to Kaikeyi, which is also fine. And now my only shelter was my son and you have banished him to the forest. How do you expect me to live? Dasharath Maharaj, with tears in his eyes, he requested Kaushalya, please do not speak like this. And in this context, he explained the role of a wife. There are four roles of a wife. Did you all know this? I was very inspired when I read this. A wife acts as a minister to the husband by giving good advice when needed, giving good counsel. We see the example of Tara and Mandodari. Mandodari she knew that Lord Rama is the supreme and her husband Ravana is not doing the right thing by keeping Sita, right? Similarly, we see the wife of Vali, Tara, she also knew that when Sugriva challenged him for the second time, she could know that he is doing so only because he has someone strong behind him. And she advised, don't go this time. Your brother has a friend to help. But these advices were not paid attention to. These are those examples. Now tomorrow when you get married, please don't start advising your husbands and misquote. You can end up in trouble. But this is something very nice to understand. A wife also acts as a friend, right? What's a friend? A friend in need is a friend indeed, we say. Similarly, wife also plays a role of a friend. There are many situations in life which comes where she needs to act like a friend. A wife also plays a role of a mother, right? What's a mother? Caring, nurturing, taking care of health and so on. And then, wife also takes care of the husband's sensual needs. Now this leads to the next principle of how does a wife take care of the sensual needs, right? In the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the story of King Puranjan, there's a very nice verse where the translation is like this. The queen took her bath and dressed herself nicely with all auspicious garments and ornaments. After taking food and becoming completely satisfied, she returned to the king. Upon seeing her beautifully decorated, attractive face, the king welcomed her with all devotion. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada brilliantly explains what a wife should be like. A woman generally is accustomed to dress herself nicely with fine garments and decorative ornaments. She may even sometimes wear flowers. Women especially dress themselves in the evening because the husband comes home after working hard all day. It is the duty of the wife to dress herself in a nice way so that the husband, when he returns home, feels satisfied by seeing her beauty and cleanliness. In other words, the wife is an inspiration of all good intelligence. Upon seeing one's wife dressed nicely, one can think very soberly about family business. When a person is anxious about family affairs, he cannot discharge his family duties nicely. A wife is therefore supposed to be an inspiration and should keep the husband's intelligence in good order so that they combinedly prosecute the affairs of family without impediment. Such a beautiful description. It's not a cheap thing, satisfying husband's sensual desires. It's a very deep concept actually. If you go to see, in today's world is plagued with so many extramarital affairs, family disputes, marital problems, right? Why is all this happening? This verse talks about dressing nicely. Nowadays we see women, the older they get, the more fashionable their dresses are. Why? Because they feel a sense of pride if nobody can guess their age. I don't understand why this is so. What is wrong if somebody guesses your age? And not only that, even after marriage, the wife, this is my own friends I'm talking about. They don't believe in wearing Mangal Sutra anymore. They don't believe in wearing Sindoor anymore. This is all old fashioned, you know. I want to be as I was when I was in college. Now, when such things happen, obviously there will be extramarital affairs. Obviously there will be disputes in marriage. What else do you think will happen? Right? And then, instead of commanding respect, women are artificially demanding respect. And then when rape happens, we blame all the men. Sometimes we should think that we are also responsible. You sit on the railway station for 10 minutes and observe how girls are dressing these days. It's unimaginable. And you see the eyes of men, how it immediately turns towards a girl scantily dressed. You know, when this, it's very natural that we blame the men for doing such. I mean, what happened to that girl in Delhi is certainly atrocious. You know, all sympathies to that family. But deep within, you should understand that you and me are also responsible. Right? Do you all agree or no? In any case, this is a fact you cannot deny. Women also have a very big role in bringing forth noble children. We see in the Mahabharata, on one side was Pandu and Kunti, and on the other side was Gandhari. Pandu was eager to have a son, not so that the son becomes the king, but so that his kingdom gets a noble leader. That was his his heart's cherished desire. And so what did they do? They did tapasya for 1 year, seeking the blessings, praying for a noble son to take birth. And on the contrary, we see in Gandhari's life, when she had Duryodhana in her womb, her only desire was this son should be the elder in the family and he should become the king. We say, Jaisi Janani Chetana, Vaisa hi Santan. So we see directly how Duryodhana, his whole life was spent in vanity, being greedy, right? And on the other hand, Yudhishthira Maharaj was religion personified in one sense. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada stressed a lot on this Garbhadhan Sanskar, where the couple prays with all devotion that a noble child should appear. Why is this important? We see traditionally our Indian culture has always been about bringing forth children so that the family lineage continues. And not just that, by means of such noble children, the future of the country, future of the land is safeguarded. Therefore, it's a very important role as women that we have. Unfortunately, in the recent statistics I came to hear that 70% of girls in colleges in cities, these are teenagers, 17, 18-year-olds are aborting. So it's quite shocking actually. How in the vain pursuit of artificial lifestyle, imitating the West, we are forgetting the strength of our own cultural heritage. Women's role is also there in protecting the honor of the husband. Just like we saw in today's drama, Srinivasa Nayaka, who later on became a great saint, Purandara Das, he was so miserly that he never paid heed to any such requests. And as you saw, when the Brahmana, who was actually the Lord himself, went to the wife, what did the wife do? She gave her nose ring, which was given to her by her parents. So, we see traditionally in our country, we have the system of dowry. Originally, what was this dowry concept all about? The parent, with all love for the daughter, would give some amount of money and assets so that this girl could use this money in case of emergency in her own life, in her husband's life, not for any other reason. But unfortunately today, dowry is becoming a big business. Boys are given fake documents, fake degrees, so that girls' parents would have to give big sum of dowry. Such things are happening. But originally, this was a very sacred thing. The parents would, with all love, give whatever they could so that the girl could protect the husband in case of need. So in this way, we see how when we lead a life based on religious principles, automatically our economic needs are also met in a justified way. And then our desires or sensual desires, which the Lord does allow to, we can meet our needs of our senses in a very justifiable way. And then finally comes moksha. What really is moksha? In Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter, there is this wonderful verse. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyamya sheshatah sagyatva neha bhuyonyaj gyatavyam avashishyate. Now I shall declare unto you this full knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to be known. When you understand how this creation works, how the Lord has designed this world, what is our connection with Him, and what is the connection with our connection with other living beings, then naturally we will lead a life based on religious principles. When you understand that the Lord is our Supreme Father, naturally you will see the earth as a mother. If you go to the Sri Vaishnava temples in South, Lord Vishnu is often accompanied by two consorts, Sri Devi, who is Lakshmi, and Bhu Devi, who is Bhumi Devi. Now, you see when you go traveling, when you go outside, there is so much garbage. Before making comments like, India to kachre ka dabba hai, just question yourself, are you and I also contributing to this problem? We bring offerings to deities packaged in plastic, and then after the offering is made, the plastic is thrown on the ground. You see when you're traveling in trains, both sides of the track, so much plastic is there. You go into your heart and look for answers and think how you can make a change. Instead of complaining and instead of demeaning your own society, think of how you can bring about a change. It can happen if you really want it to happen. Similarly, no matter what, India is, after all, not such a bad country. In the United Nations once did a survey, the lost wallet test. You know what it is? 130 countries that decided they will take a wallet, put some amount of money inside, a decent good amount, and then keep identity card of a person with maybe telephone number or the address, and just throw it in different places and see how many of this wallet returns to the original owner. They did this in 130 countries. And India, 65% of the wallet returned to its owner. An average Indian is still honest, Baba. Don't keep criticizing them. When this Delhi rape happened, that statistics I am not so keen about. But India, you can see more than 65%. So even more than Japan, I was surprised. Japanese, they are thought to be a very honest people. But the percentage was much less. And similarly, when this Delhi rape happened, our whole country was projected as being a country of rapists and criminals. But do you know, in England, the rate of rapes is 4 times that in Delhi. So, before going by Loka Praman, what is Loka Praman? The opinion of common people, you should also see what is the Shastra Praman. What is the reality? What do the scriptures say? And what do adherents of the scriptures believe, truly believe? One great spiritualist said that India is the Brahmana among nations. Who really is a Brahmana? Brahmana is a person who is broad-minded. A Brahmana is a leader. A Brahmana is a visionary, he gives vision. And if you and I take pride in our cultural heritage and together work towards making this place a better place, then India can really be a superpower. Not based on economic model or political structure, but really rooted in India's cultural heritage. I would just like to conclude with certain living examples of how people are working towards bringing a nice reform. We have a wonderful devotee who so well versed in Shastras, very simple and humble. He won the elections in a village. He became the village Sarpanch. And he leads such an exemplary life. He works selflessly for bringing up the standards of living for the villagers. So much that the neighboring village, which were so antagonistic to this village, 20 or 25 youth from that village came to him one day and said, "We have never seen such a selfless leader like you in last so many years. Please, we would like to get trained under you. Please teach us what can we do to make our village also a nice place to be, so that villagers take pride in being in a village and not look towards artificial life." So there are people whom we can take inspiration from. And we have a wonderful devotee who is in the police force. Many years back when he wanted to join the police force, everybody were against. He was asked, "Police or gunde mein farak kya hai?" Against all odds, this devotee became a deputy commissioner. And he's doing such wonderful work. When he catches criminals, he doesn't beat them up as others do. What does he do? He connects them back to his family members. He calls all family members and says, "You know him better than I do. I've just met him now. So you keep a watch on him and you become my police. You tell me if there is something going wrong." And by doing so, gradually, these people, they get connected back to their family and now they start respecting and gradually they get rid of their criminalistic mindset. So these are just a few examples I wanted to share. Yeah, just concluding with the last point, that a true servant or a true believer in God will naturally be a selfless person. Prahlad Maharaj, and we hear of so many great devotees who had such faith in the Lord, complete devotion and surrender, and they would often be heard of praying that please uplift these people who are ignorant of you. So when you truly become a devotee of Krishna, then you must naturally become selfless and try to work for upliftment of others. And that becomes a complete fulfillment of life. I would like to end here. We could take 1 or 2 questions and then we'll have Kirtan. Thank you very much for your attention. We'll stop here. We'll have Kirtan now and then there are some announcements. Where's Kirti Kumari?